Every League of Legends champion basically starting off is just young and impulsive. And then Runeterra sets them straight, and they're champions now because they survived being young and impulsive.
What's the term? Young, dumb, and full of cum. Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, episode 63. I'm your host, Ryan, here with your other host, Hedge.
We are here to mansplain to you how these cards work.
It's funny, like we always talk about how you guys don't know what we're talking about before we hit that record button. So when we start laughing, you just think we're maniacs. Just know we're nerds, man. Like we're talking about Monk in Final Fantasy, but we won't be talking about that here. Because what we do talk about first is housekeeping. So up top, you can listen to us everywhere. If you're listening to us somewhere right now and you want to go somewhere else, we're there too. So feel free. Visit us at podcastcore.com for all of our info and follow us on any platform you prefer. Then if you need to contact us, you can send an email to podcastcore@gmail.com and then leave a like, follow, or a short review / comment on wherever you're listening. We appreciate it. Helps with discoverability, helps get the word out. But the easiest way to get the word out is to tell at least one friend to get the job done by any means necessary by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
By any means.
Any means.
And that is our not official seal of approval for whatever happens. Yeah. And then we'll deny it because we approved nothing. And there you go.
A great man once said, "Do what you must because it must be done."
Wise words.
Yeah. They're mine. I'm the wise guy. I'm the guy who said it.
You are the wise guy. That's true.
So today's topic is we're back in the champions. We're kind of veering away from all the Piltover arcane stuff. We still got more content coming, so look around for those. They'll be weaved in to the releases coming up. But today, we're going back to Bilgewater to talk about some bubble trouble. We're talking about Nami.
The bubble trouble. It's actually kind of sad because there isn't really like a good example of like the bubble in Runeterra, but I always think of the bubble with Nami. But once we get to the card, they did a great job. They did a great job, as they tend to do.
They would probably make it too broken, which is probably why they're like, let's leave that one out.
I mean, we're recording this post a Nami nerf.
Like, true. It would be a 3-mana burst spell.
Yeah, it'd be a 3-mana burst. Nerfed into 2 mana.
Yeah, but we're going to get directly into it. So, as usual, we go through a spell, a follower, talk about how they relate to the lore, and then we'll hop into the champion. So, Hedge, what do you got for us to start?
I'm going to open us up with a spell because this one is a bit of a doozy because Nami can't keep it simple. And that's because this is 3 spells in one, baby.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about Tidal Wave. So Tidal Wave is a 3-mana slow spell. It deals 1 to 2 different randomly targeted enemies, and you create a crashing wave in your deck. So this one kind of targets similar to Make It Rain. And so instead of 3 targets, it's only 2. But the crashing wave that it shuffles into your deck is also a 3-mana slow speed spell that deals 2 to 4 different randomly targeted enemies and creates a colossal wave. So again, this is like a souped up Make It Rain without hitting the face. And then it creates a colossal wave that is also a 3-mana spell that deals 4 to all enemies and the enemy nexus. So as far as like the actual card and spells itself, it's cool that there's another effect that's similar to Go Hard, while also not being just specifically a KDA thing. So it gives us a little bit more of like actual lore stuff instead of the fun things that they've been adding into the world of Runeterra. But otherwise, this is just a card that only people like Hetch will play. Um, Only the greediest of the greedy people is going to play this card because it's a little too slow. Uh,
Yeah.
but of course, when we bring up a card, it is because of the flavor. And each one of these cards have direct quotes from Nami. So with the first one, we have oceans spill forth. Second one, roiling seas engulf them. And the third one, rolling tides heed my call. So I like how like the most gentle of these is the third one of like rolling tides heed my call of
Yeah.
like, hey, pick up the phone. And it's by far like the biggest spell on the list. It's just
I
like
love
deal
the little
4 to
tiny
everything.
ship as it's getting engulfed.
Yeah. Not just like it's because it's not even like that tiny of a ship. It's a jaw hunter.
Oh, true. Yeah. It's
Yeah. Like that's a real boat. Like it's not like a little skiff in the water. Like that's just a big wave. But I did want to point out like these direct quotes because Nami, when we get into her lore, Nami is the tide caller of the Mirai. And one of the things that we see in the lore is that the Mirai, they tend to be a little bit more tribal. So a thing that is mentioned are the verses of the tide caller. And with a lot of tribal communities, they tend to pass down things through oral tradition. So I'm wondering if these are just direct quotes from Nami and Nami just spouting nonsense as she destroys hapless Bilgewater residents, or if these are like actual like oral tradition, like these are verses that are handed down from tide caller to tide caller.
Yeah, that would be cool to know. When you think about Nami, think about Talia. Very similar, just Talia in the water, right? Their stories about their families and how things are traditional. It's very similar. And we have a Talia episode. So listen to that and you'll get what I mean by that specific statement.
Yeah, that is spot on. And as far as me being a little hung up on this idea of an oral tradition, we kind of have an example that supports my theory, and that takes us to the follower,
Mhm.
which for today we're going to talk about the Mirai Songstress. So the Mirai Songstress for the card is a 2 mana 3/2. When I'm summoned, if you've cast a spell this round, grant me elusive. As far as the card itself, especially considering a Nami deck, and then at the point we're recording, this is like post Bilgewater, so we got a lot of the cards that create pranks. Um, Giving this elusive is not that hard, and as Swim refuses to stop showing us, elusive is a very important keyword. So this is nothing to scoff at, but again, this idea of like tribal communities passing things on through oral tradition, I like to imagine that Mirai Songstress is more of like um, almost like a shaman or a wise man, wise woman position, a position of authority and power. And we kind of get this off the flavor text because we have the flavor text. This is a direct quote from the Serenade for the Tide Caller, which again gives kind of more to this idea that there's could be verses that Nami's quoting. And the verse that's quoted here is the ocean believes that the wave will return, gives trust to the ebb, to the flow, to the churn. So ere the wave crashes against the shore, the ocean delights in the crest's bold roar. And if this is a verse of like a bigger tradition that's passed on from like one tribal leader to the next, this could also be something that's passed on to like their chosen warriors or like chosen elite within the tribe. And in the world of fantasy, a lot of things that do that, they tend to have a lot of power behind it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. The power of spoken word um in a lot of fantasy can do some cool things. And here we get to see a little bit of coolness from Nami herself and a little bit of unexpectedness. I was talking to Hetch about how, Nami is a character who's been around for a good bit, but her lore, like put it this way, the people who play her in League of Legends probably don't know her lore. because it doesn't really fit the character as she plays.
Not even close.
But in the story, it makes sense because, and we'll just get right into it. So, why do we call it Bubble Trouble? Well, because Nami's trouble. So, in the seas west of Targon is the tribe of Astaya that we know as the Maori, right? Am I saying that right?
Oh, you're actually saying,
Mirai, sorry.
yeah, you actually replaced it with a real tribe in the real world.
Yep. Whoops. Sorry, I was.
Shout out to any listeners in New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. So long ago, this tribe discovered, oh no, there's a rift in the depths, as there always is. The ocean is terrifying.
Don't look at the ocean when you're swimming in it. You look too deep and you'll never go back in the water again.
Yeah, it'll look back, and that's not what you want.
And that's even worse when we talk about Runeterra. And if you don't believe us, check out our Nautilus episode and our Pike episode.
So in this rift, there's this creeping darkness that's continuously threatening the extermination of all life. A bit dramatic, but we'll hear them out, right? And then at the center of the village, they have this thing where they place a glowing moonstone. And this creates this ethereal light, which is said to come from celestial magic. And that light protects them against the abyss for 100 years. Not 200 years, but 100.
You take what you get, right? Like, it might still be the number one, but at least you got 2 zeros.
Yeah. So, anybody who gets that joke, give yourself a pat on the back. So when this begins to dim, obviously the peril grows again. So what they do is, well, when this happens, the tribe chooses their fiercest warrior. They give them the title of Tide Caller. That Tide Caller then goes into the darkness of the rift and retrieves an abyssal pearl. Then they take that pearl to shore and they trade it with a luminous wanderer for a moonstone. They bring that moonstone back, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, this would also kind of play more into this idea of like the oral traditions as well. And not necessarily just oral tradition, but this is very traditional, kind of like you bringing up Talia's clan. They've been doing this for God knows how long, and it's once every 100 years. Yeah. So yeah, that's a long time to be hung up on like a thing.
Yeah, and at this moment we don't really know like their lifespans for this tribe race.
Yeah, actually, as far as just reading through Nami's lore, we don't really know about the Mirai lifespan. That's interesting to think of. It's got to be like a decent amount of time, though, right? Because we know from Fizz's lore, that there were underwater civilizations that did live for a long time, and Fizz has been around basically since the beginning.
Yeah, like most water-dwelling creatures in fantasy, they tend to be some of the progenitors to other races on land. So, yeah they probably have a decent lifespan. Let's say like 300 years. Throw that out there, right? Maybe.
And we'll never know because Fizz would be the one to tell us the answer, and Fizz is a Yordle. So screw him.
Go listen to our Fizz episode and we'll tell you why. So, before this, because obviously this is a very, tasky. It's a very arduous task for them to do this every 100 years. I mean, it's a long time, but it's a lot of steps to go through to prevent this. And before they started this ritual, they tried something. In the past, they attempted to send an army down there. They're like, let's just kill everything, right? That makes sense. And what they noticed is terrifying, is that they found the monster's strength down there was always relative to how many soldiers they sent. So there was no solution. It was like, if you send 100, they're going to be tough. If you send 1,000, they're going to be 1,000 tough, right? Like it's always going to be a fight. So they figured out a smart solution. Let's send one.
Yeah, just send one elite soldier. So that way the threat is only one soldier strong, but our soldier will be stronger. and this is foolproof and cannot backfire on us at all.
Ever.
Ever. And that brings us to Nami.
Yeah. So with this, they send one soldier, they give them a legendary staff, which is usually passed down. And they're like, this is the best option because even if that soldier can't contend with whatever it encounters with, they can at least elude it long enough to get the pearl and get out of there, right? Because you're not dealing with a whole retreat of an army or anything like that. So cool. This works out for centuries, as we're told. And then we kind of go to the present again, where, we have Nami. Nami wanted to be a tide caller. At this point, she was younger, but she was a fierce warrior, but she was headstrong, young, and impulsive. And that's never good for a warrior. You don't, that's
not only, okay, you're right. It's not ever good for a warrior, but listen to Name Any Champion episode here. And every League of Legends champion basically starting off is just young and impulsive. And then Runeterra sets them straight and they're champions now because they survived being young and impulsive.
What's the term? Young, dumb, and full of cum.
No.
It doesn't mean what you think it means. Go look it up. All right. So we now have kind of Nami's personality. She's young. She gets into trouble a lot. This does get her, like her personality always gets her into trouble. And then at this point, while she's young, the moonstone starts to dim. So we're at a 100-year point, right? And she's like, okay, cool, I'm signing up. So before they can, sign up for this task, you have to go through these trials. And she goes through the trials, but the elders choose somebody different, a more prudent, level-headed warrior by the name of Rasho. And Rasho's kind of your ideal soldier, studious, kind of focused. Like, yeah, let's send him. This makes more sense than Nami. She's crazy.
And it is specified that Rasho beats out Nami because Nami is so impulsive and brash. That it's like, okay, no, you're not level-headed. So that this is what put Rasho ahead. Nothing to do with his combat ability.
Exactly.
It's the fact that he could use his head.
Yeah, but what did have to do with his combat ability was he left as the tide caller, and he didn't come back for a week. And he didn't come back for 2 weeks. And then a month passed.
Uh-oh.
Whoops, he ran out of gas.
I got distracted on the way back. There was a sale going on at Macy's.
So he has to return after a month, which has never happened before. Remember, this is the foolproof plan. They said this always works. So they argued what to do. And Nami, being the person who wasn't chosen, got super impatient and was like, screw it. I'll do this myself. So she grabbed her mother's, what's labeled as a bathy staff or a bathy staff. I'm going to say bathy staff.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know what this is.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's a
I read this word. Yeah, I read this word like 4 times. Like, bathy? Bathing?
Bathing staff.
My bathing staff. It helps get the hard to reach places.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume it's just a lesser weapon than like a tide caller staff is, right? And she took that, was like, screw it, and dove into the depths. So then she ends up returning with not only a pearl, but with Rasho's tide caller staff as well. But they do notice that she's not the same. Like, she has this horror in her eyes from what she saw. And this is kind of the character turning point, because someone who's brash or who's brash and who's very impulsive, actually experiencing something that kind of scares them straight is what I'm kind of getting the vision of.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a scared straight kind of thing. And as we said earlier in this episode, if you look too deep in the ocean, it will look back. And she did not like it looking back.
Yeah. So yeah, she returns. And then they're like, okay, cool. We're mad you did this, but this is what we expected you to do. And it worked out, right? Everything worked out. So, okay, cool. You're officially now the tide caller. Now go to shore, find a landwalker, and get us that moonstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not over
in,
yet.
In the defense of Nami, like her coming back with the Tide Color staff and everything, you would think they just ease up at this point, right? Like, okay, clearly Rasho didn't pull it off,
Yeah.
but you saved the day. You have to remember that the goal here is apparently the end of the world and preventing that. So then why in the world are you still pissed at her when she gets back? Just like, hey, we don't like that you did that.
Get
like,
with the times, old man.
like bro, just chill. It's straight out like from Futurama with President Nixon, just like I proudly and angrily. Chill, just chill.
So she heads to the shore, find a landwalker with the moons to trade for the moonstone. She gets there and there's no stone bearer. And she's like, okay, but there is an old woman who's waiting to kind of tell her what's up. And this woman says that her grandparents witnessed the last exchange because they're human, right? So centuries are generations.
To quote the new meme, thanks to the show Arcane, it's that picture of Jace. We can't wait centuries. We have to see the Tide Collar now.
So she says, yeah, but there's not one this time. Whoops. And that's because the aspect of the moon, so that's the person who conjures the moonstone, we find out, fled Targon. That's not good. We know why. Go listen to our Phelios episode and find out more.
Phelios and Diana.
And the Diana episode, yeah.
Yeah. The Lunari are not in a good spot in this century.
Yeah, this also gives us a time frame, which is cool, right? We get something lining up here because with the moon aspect, Alun, who is Ophelia's sister, go listen to it. That's actually one of our longer episodes, I believe, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a ton going on, and it's definitely worth the listen. But it'll put these pieces together. But it doesn't help Nami right now.
No,
if she had listened to the episode, it would have helped. This is why we keep. And this is why we keep telling y'all to tell your friends so that you don't look like an idiot in front of some old lady whose grandparents gave you a moonstone.
So she's like, okay, cool. This sucks. Because think about it. She had to go through defying the elders, going and doing it herself, coming back with PTSD, and then going to shore just to find out she can't even fucking trade the thing. They no longer take that currency. So now she's okay. It's Nami still at her heart. So she's like, I'm going to get this done. I'm accepting this fate, and I vow to find the aspect and get that damn moonstone. And, her people depend on it. That's one thing that, despite her attitude, it's the loyalty to her people and to her cause, which, like we said, with other tribes in Runeterra, you see a lot. Even if you look at Freljord, right? People take care of their own regardless of their shortcomings and personality.
Yeah, and of course, coming from a tribe that's so deep-seated in tradition, even when you're butting heads with the elders, it's like you're taught from a young age that like the tribe comes first.
Yep. It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson.
We do get to learn, like before we finish off with Nami, we get to learn something very interesting about the staff, and specifically the question on everyone's mind. How the hell does Nami fight on the rift of League of Legends?
Exactly. And that's one thing when, so she uses the staff, she summons this perpetual pool of moving water under her, and then she takes land.
It's easy. It's simple. Why didn't we think of this?
Heck, it says it on the back of the tin. It's just like it's nutritional facts and then the instructions for how to use the staff.
That's my favorite snack, canned Nami.
So what she ends up doing is just swimming on the land, essentially. And she goes on this brand new quest in this brand new world. And she's actually the first of her kind to ever do it. So for her kind being around as long as they have, that's very impressive. And she's the one to pull it off, right? She has the attitude to do it. So that brings us to the end of, just her biography and how she, came to be the Nami we know today. And it's very interesting because like I said, at just start us off, Nami's background story isn't what you would expect, which is props to Riot for taking that route, because
Mm,
on the surface she appears like I would think like a cute, fun-loving character.
yeah.
Her lines actually fit that type of persona,
If
but then you look back and you're like, oh wait,
I think a lot of people would like, if they got curious enough to go and look up the lore, would assume before reading it that it would read a lot like Soraka's lore.
yeah,
And
exactly,
instead of looking to the stars,
yeah.
Nami's looking to the sea creatures of like, let me heal you. Because that's how she plays in game. Like it's like, I'll lock down this guy so that you won't die, you dumb 80 carry who blew Flash.
Oh no, Edge is going down
Diving under a
he's,
tower.
he's going down the trail of tortured memories.
You're right. I'm going too deep. It's looking back. It's always looking back. Take us to the card.
Yeah, so let's talk about the card real quick and the quotes on here, which are really cool because they kind of extend the end of her story. So Nami is a decent card. I'm saying that's being facetious. She's
It is
a good card.
It is. It is now a decent card.
Yeah,
it
was a
It has
broken
been
card.
balanced.
Yeah. So Nami right now is a 3-cost 2/3 with a tune, and then when you cast a spell, grant +1/+0 to the weakest other ally that isn't immobile. And her level up is simply, you've gained 8+ spell mana this game.
All right. And for anyone who isn't familiar with the card game, when Nami came out, it used to be 7 mana. So you could consistently flip Nami on turn 4.
Yep.
It was beyond easy to flip Nami on turn 4, and there were way too many decks that would flip Nami with elusives.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're looking at you, Swim.
It's always his fault. So yeah, the card was strong. It still is a fun card, and it fits her very well, due to how she plays in League of Legends if you play that game as well. But once again, the text on here is what we care about. So we have a little back and forth between her and her great mother. And it says, "Have you said goodbyes, young Tidecaller?" "Yes, great mother." "Are you afraid?" "Yes, great mother." This is good because we know she's afraid. She came back terrified. Take PTSD seriously, folks. Good.
And this also gives us a time frame. This conversation's happening after she's gotten the Tidecaller staff, not before.
Yes. But at least she's honest. That's the good part. She's not trying to play it up, right? So she says, "Good. To be afraid is to be cautious," which is good for her. "But trust yourself as we trust you. Now go, and may the currents keep you." And this is, props to her great mother, because obviously she understands Nami's personality. She understands what she's gone through. Nami's being honest with her, and she's giving her reassuring words to say, believe in yourself. You have the personality that kind of pushes you further than others. So rely on that.
Yeah, despite having the ocean look back at you, you're still Nami. Like, you're still an accomplished warrior. So have faith in being an accomplished warrior. And that does take us to the other side of the card. So once she flips, instead of +1/+0, it's now +2/+1.
Woo!
And this is why, again, Swim, we're looking at you, and you nasty elusive players. We're all watching you.
Yeah, and
with
just for our
disgust
listeners
in
who
our eyes.
don't play the card game. So granting something means it's permanent. That's what makes Nami so dangerous. It's not just for the turn. It's not just for the round. It's like, this is permanent. That's why it became such a problem.
And it stacks.
And it stacks.
It will keep going as long as you got cards in your deck, baby.
But once again, when she flips, we get more text here. And this text is after she's left. And it's people talking kindly about her behind her back, which is how you want people to talk about you behind your back. Be the person where people say kind things behind your back. So they say, "Do you think she's far along in her journey? We can only hope, Tama," who I'm thinking Tama's maybe her mother's name. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, like we have nothing to base that off of, just like gut feeling.
Yeah, just because she was talking to her great mother before, and I'm assuming it's like a grandmother figure, so maybe she's talking to her daughter about her daughter, but who knows, right? We're filling in gaps here. And then Thomas says, I can see her now, beautiful eyes glowing in the light of the moon, the shine of salt water glistening on her scales. This burden, the fate of our people, it should not be hers alone. She's doing her part as we are doing ours. Lotto. I don't know who that is. Let's assume father, brother. I don't know. Tribe member. We're trying to make this cute, right? We're giving this we're giving this a dash of that Disney spice.
What if Lotto's the great mother and like Tama's mom?
True. That works.
Okay, that's a little less of us trolling.
Yeah. And then we finish with a great wholesome statement that kind of encompasses everything we've been talking about, is all we can do is believe in her and love her with all our hearts. And the studio audience goes, "Aw."
Of course, like I read this and it ends with all we can do is believe in her and love her with all our hearts. And then I'm imagining the camera panning out and then it's quotes, or like you see on the screen pop up like the name of your favorite JRPG, number 5, whatever. If you're a Final Fantasy player, it's like Final Fantasy 23. And because it always deals with a young hero, the chosen one, leaving town to save the world, baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we get for Nami. So overall, like Nami's story, I like where it puts us, because this type of story, considering we have had some allusions to Targon and Arcane, listen to those episodes to hear a bit about that. And then all the Targon stuff we've talked about. Targon somewhere, I mean, we want them to go everywhere, right? We're the casuals of Runeterra. But Targon is one of those places where when you get into the Lunari and the Solari, and then you get into the aspects with Ophelios and his sister, you can also incorporate this stuff as well. Because remember, Nami's the first one to ever go on land as a mer person, which is going to be interesting for the people she comes across, right?
Yeah, everyone's gonna stop and go, is that a floating fish?
That's a slur, Het. You can't just call them fish.
I've never seen these people. I didn't know that. I didn't know they existed, and 2, I didn't know that there was corrected terms already.
Could you imagine?
Was I under a rock?
The first small town in the South she goes to, and they're like, "Go back to the water, fish."
We don't take kindly to your kind around here.
You ain't from around here, are you?
Yeah, we don't like you people with your fins. We're Bulldog fans.
Oh, no. But with that, as always, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. And we'll be back soon for the next episode.
Yeah. And I'm not sure as far as the time frame and everything. So if the time frame matches up right or wrong, whatever, happy holidays to everyone.
Ah, yes.
Spend time with your loved ones. We love y'all, and take care, everybody.
Yeah, take care of the tribe.